So, in this journey that has had many more setbacks than I want to know why at this moment, I'm not asking that question, I stumbled upon some research that was done by Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert is a Harvard professor of psychology and a researcher. And he wrote a book, Stumbling on Happiness. And he says, there is authentic happiness and synthesized happiness, synthetic happiness. That's it, synthetic happiness. Now here's how he describes authentic happiness. I think differently than you and I. He said authentic happiness is when you get what you want. Do you think that is authentic happiness? Not quite my terminology, but it's something we like when you get what you want. He said synthesized happiness is the happiness you make when you get what you don't want. I've been in the synthesized happiness business lately. How about you? But he went on even further. There's even more to explain than that. He did some research to find out about people that should not be happy, that have had a lot of difficult knocks in their life, a lot of setbacks. And he came up with an interesting study. He asked this question: what event would you like to choose in your life? Winning the lottery and getting $351 million, or getting in a terrible accident and becoming a paraplegic? I think that's a no-brainer. Yet he said a year later, both in the studies, both of those groups end up at the same happiness level they were before the incident. Wow. He goes on to explain that 2 million years ago, the brain only weighed 1¼ pounds. 2 million years later, our brain weighs 3 pounds. Talk about evolution. What we can do in 2 million years, isn't that amazing? He said what we've developed is our frontal lobe, the part of the brain where you and I can predict in the future what our present actions will create. So we can see right now the words that Ernest Holmes spoke: change your thinking, change your life. We can see what can happen when we think different thoughts, take different actions, what we will create in the future. This frontal lobe also gets us to decide between good and bad, or better and best. So it's a great thinking process for us to really use our minds to change our lives. Now, how good of condition is your frontal lobe in? Do you know? I was thinking, what are the exercises we can use to really develop that part of our mind where we can be happy no matter what? Are you ready?
Yes.
I mean, I think for us, and he said when he took this list, and he really studied people that shouldn't be happy at all. One man was in prison for, I can't remember if it was 10 or 15 years, for a crime he didn't do. And he came out and he checked with him and he said, you know what? It was one of the best experiences I've ever had. He talked with a fellow who was the first drummer for the Beatles. Bill, where are you? Who was that? He talked with Pete Best, and he got kicked out right before that when they hired Ringo, and then the Beatles went on to do all their great, have their great success. He said, I'm much happier than if I'd been with the Beatles. And he went on, and he created a list. He said, so from this, if I figured out what happiness is, it would be staying in prison, unauthorized. He talked to people that had lost all their money, losing all your money and helping others get theirs, not ever playing for the Beatles. He had a list about this long. But what he really recognized was that synthesized happiness, which we would call the things that come from the inside out, is truly what makes life precious and wonderful. So I'm going to ask us or invite us today to be in the business of the synthesized happiness. And that begins, number one, with gratitude. I tell you, every piece of this center that's been created has been done with an attitude of gratitude. I have to tell you, the day before Friday is Thursday, and on Thursday, out in the front parking lot, where are you, Linda? Linda was out there because we just heard the day before on Wednesday that we needed to repaint our handicap signs, and it was going to cost us $300. Linda got a bucket of paint and a roll of masking tape and spent 5 hours out in the parking lot painting the handicap, the little man in his wheelchair, and a few interesting words that we transmuted quickly, but other than that, it was done in absolute love. The owner of the building came through and we had, oh my gosh, who are all the guys that have been working on the stage? Would you guys just stand up? Chris, I know you're here. Oh, we've worn them all out. Oh my God, I know Joe Slocum was here, and of course Gary Ingram designed the stage, and Doug, you were here helping out a bit. Well, we've worn them all out. They were kind of limping through, but the owner came through and he said, do those guys work for your contractor? Because there was so much happiness and joy just oozing out of their cells. And I said, no, those are my friends. And he said, those are the kinds of friends I want to have. You know, this is what's happening here. We're in the transformation business. You see, abundance is not what you have. Anybody can hoard a bunch of money. We truly know in this religious science business is that our intention paves the way. And if we have the intention to just sock up money and that's our abundance, we can do that. Abundance is so much more. Abundance is a healthy body. Now, a healthy body doesn't mean a body that doesn't have problems, because a body is a messenger and a teacher. A body, now check in right now, is a body that's vibrating with energy from the inside. It's a mind that has great ideas and a heart that has the courage to bring those dreams and ideas into manifestation. It takes courage. One idea and the courage to bring it forth, to me, is the healthiest body you can have. I've seen the story of the mother who went in the hospital to have, I think, twins. And she developed an infection and she had to lose both her arms and her legs, yet the courage and love in that body has given her the ability to be a great mother to those babies. Something that most of us would say, give up. But the love from within, that is a healthy body. Abundance is a loving relationship, loving relationships. Loving relationships don't mean perfect relationships. Right, Kirk? See, now he can leave. I'm going to have to talk to him. But anyway, it doesn't mean those relationships that are smooth all the time. It means, again, the relationships that have the courage to do the hard work. How many of you are in the hard work part? How many of you are in the smooth part? Okay, just checking. Good, all right. Because remember, we live in this cyclical universe, so we hit all points. So it's the body, the relationship, and fulfilling work. The work that lets you know you are on your soul's purpose. When I was cleaning the toilets this week, I was doing my soul's work because it was a manifestation. There was something bigger going on. It doesn't matter the work you do. It's the energy and essence from which you do it. Isn't that abundance? Isn't that love? Isn't that joy? So we have the body, the relationships, we have the work. And of course, it's being in the spiritual practice. Abundance is nothing without the spiritual foundation to make it all worthwhile.